Flashcards are one of the most popular and efficient ways to learn pieces of information, especially for language learning. And when learning a language, we want to practice thinking in that language. So when doing our flashcards, we have to make them in a way that promotes this way of thinking. But not using translations can be a tricky task, but not if you know how to do it. So today's topic is how to make this efficient tool of flashcard even more efficient for language learning. Let's go! So before talking about how to make the flashcards, I want to talk about two things. First, spaced repetition. Spaced repetition is the thing that will make all your hard work of making the flashcards worth it. Spaced repetition is when you study something at different intervals depending on how well you know the piece of information. And the whole goal of the spaced repetition is to review an information just before you forget it. You may be familiar with that, but for those who are not, when you learn a piece of information, with time you gradually forget it. It looks like this. The more time passes, the more you forget the piece of information if you don't review it. And the concept of spaced repetition is to interrupt this forgetting curve just before you start forgetting the piece of information. So resetting the forgetting curve. And the more you review, the more this forgetting curve is going to dip less and less quickly, and at some point the information will be in your long-time memory. That's why you review at different intervals, because your memory gets better and better, and you don't have to review it every single day. At the beginning you review the next day, then 3 days, then 5 days, then a month, then at some point it's just there in your mind. This method is really useful because it will take information that you want to learn and download it directly into your brain. It's really easy because you just have to make a habit of practicing your flashcard for 15 minutes a day, and there you have it. Endless informations. I've said it in the beginning, but I'm saying it again now. Ditch the translations. When first learning a word, I will look up its meaning, its translation, how it's used, what does it mean, when to use it, etc. But the translation should not make it to my flashcards. When learning a piece of information, we are creating connection and a route in our brain to go and retrieve this information. And when learning with a translation, we are creating a longer route where we need our native language to be able to find the word in our target language. And this is why we have to think so much before talking in our target language. Whereas when we don't use translations, we get to practice learning the language in the target language. So translation, yes, for learning the word and seeing what it means, but no for reviewing. So if we don't use translation for our flashcard, what are we supposed to use? Well, that's the whole point of the video. When it comes to languages, every word cannot really be learned the same way. Nouns are easy because they don't really change except for the plural and all. Verbs in some languages get conjugated, so they change, like the ending changes. And what do you do of grammar points or words like the or So let me introduce you to 5 types of flashcards to help you learn them all. Let's take this sentence. The man took my coffee. Each part of the sentence can be learned with different flashcards, and they are pretty easy and pretty fun. Type 1, the basic one. You will learn the word just with an image that represents it. When we learn a language, we want to be able to practice linking the concept to the word directly, and with an image, it's really simple. So this type of flashcard is really easy for words that are easy to picture with an image. So man, coffee, table, tree, etc. And something that's really useful and practical to have on the flashcard, if you're doing them digitally, is the audio of the word. The pronunciation of a native speaker, to be able to constantly hear the good pronunciation so you can practice hearing the word right, listening practice, and hearing how you're supposed to pronounce it to improve your pronunciation. Because if you only read the word on your flashcard, you could end up creating your own pronunciation in your mind and end up like me when I'm reading a book and I'm reading the character's name and thinking that her name was Ferre, but actually was Farah. Yep, I had to listen to the audiobook to discover that her name was not Ferre. This method can also be used for more abstract words, but you just need more imagination. For example, for the words being fluent, you can use an image that kind of like portray the feeling of being fluent, someone speaking, etc. And when reviewing your flashcard, since you're the one who made the flashcard and choose this specific image to represent being fluent, you will know that the flashcard means being fluent and not speaking. Type 2, sentence with blanks. Now, for abstract words, we have a different card that helps you learn the word directly in context and with images. First, to be able to remember the word right, we have to make sure we understand how to use it. Especially for abstract words, we have to be able to understand how it's used, when to use it, etc. Because if we don't understand how to use it, we will end up making really useless flashcards or learning a word that we don't know how to use and just cramming our brain with useless information. So coming back to our sentence, here the can be complicated to learn just with an image, so we have to learn it in context. So we can naturally grasp and understand how does it fit in a sentence, how to use it, when to use it, etc. So for this type of word, we're gonna create a sentence with a blank where the word is supposed to be. So the flashcard will look like this. One side, a sentence with a blank. Man took my coffee, and the other side, the word that is missing. So when you're gonna do your flashcard, you're gonna remember that the is a word that we put before man, before woman, that we put before a noun, and you're gonna naturally grasp and understand how it's used and how you can use it in the future. Here I'm using English, but you can use it for other language. For example, in Chinese, the particle ba and bei, they're not really a translation, or at least I don't know it, but when learning it, you can create a sentence and blanking the part for ba and remembering that in those type of sentence, you're gonna use ba or bei. For example, 我你的杯子坏了, and the other side, ba, 我把你的杯子坏了. This type of flashcard is really useful because you learn the word directly in a sentence, in a context directly, so you naturally grasp how to use it and when to use it. And also, don't forget to add images and audio to the flashcards. You still need them. Type 3. The type 3 is sentences with blanks plus prompt. This type of flashcard is especially useful for words that changes depending on the subject, on the tense, etc. For example, words that conjugates or possessive words, mine, yours, ours, words that change when they are plural, like children, child. Since they are influenced by other words in the sentence, we have to get used to how it changed. Coming back to our sentence, took and mine are two words that changes depending on the subject and the tense. So our flashcard for took will look like this. The man, my coffee, to take, and the other side, took. So if you want to practice a tense, you want to practice irregular verbs, etc., you just make sentences in your flashcard and get used to practicing them, and eventually it will get natural to you. And if you're trying to learn the word mine, the flashcard will look like this. The man took coffee. On the other side, you will put mine. So in the front of the card, you get like a clue of what you're supposed to be putting in this blank. I'm doing it in English, so it's like clearer for everybody, but you can do it in your target language, in Korean, English, Turkish, French, etc. Type 4, find its place. The last two types of flashcard are more for the structure of the sentences. The type 4 is really simple. It's learn where a word fits in a sentence. I often have this problem in Chinese where I will have all the right words, but my structure will be off. For example, in Chinese, if we want to talk about doing something for someone, we have to use 为. For example, if I said I took a picture for her, 我为她拍了照片. So when I first learned this type of sentences, I used to put the 为 at the end, and my teacher constantly had to remind me that no, 为 is at the beginning. It's first to whom you are doing the action to. So in that case, our flashcard will look like this. 我拍了照片 / 为了她, and the other side, 我为了她拍了照片. The last one is purely structure. You will have all the words and you will have to put them back in the right order to create the sentence. I use this type of flashcard for when a grammar point has a specific structure or when the structure of a sentence really confuse me. I don't use it always, but I use it for those specific reasons. For example, in Chinese, there is this pattern that's 是的. When you want to emphasize something, you will put them in the bracket of 是的. For example, if you're asked, where did you buy your phone? And you want to say, I bought it here, and want to emphasize the fact that it was here that you bought it, 我是这里买的. And the thing is, if you were to learn this sentence pattern, you could do it with the flashcards to learn that 是 and 的 are not placed together, but are different places in the sentence. A petit bonus. When doing your flashcard, especially the ones where you have to make sentences, the other words that you're not trying to memorize with this flashcard should be words that you're already familiar with. Because if you're trying to learn a word and all the words in your sentence are words that you're not familiar with, you are struggling to remember, you don't really understand, or you never met in your life, the flashcard will not really be useful because you will be struggling with the entire sentence instead of struggling with remembering a certain word. So you should make your own practice sentences on your flashcards with words that you know, with words that you are familiar with, to learn new words. For example, if you are saying the dog is chasing the cat and trying to remember the word chasing, you should be familiar with cat and dog and not be like, I actually don't understand the whole sentence, and then not really practicing the flashcards. To summarize, we saw 5 types of flashcard. The first one is the basic one with images and sounds. So just learn a concept with a simple image. The type 2 is sentences with blanks. When learning words like the, use a sentence where you blank the word that you're trying to learn and try to remember what is supposed to be in the blank. The type 3 is just the type 2, but the pro version. So a sentence with blanks, but with a little bit of help to be able to remember, for example, to take, my dog, etc. Type 4 is where does a specific word fit in the sentence. So you have the sentence and you have to see where the word fit in the sentence. And final one is recreate the sentence to work on your sentence structure. And use a flashcard according to your needs. You don't have to use them all. Those are just ideas to be able to practice without translations. So just use the one you need. Watch this video if you're trying to find ways to break your language plateau. And that's it. I hope you enjoy. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Wanna make you happy and then she goes 나만 혼자 남겨뒀어 대화가 필요해